Hi guys, welcome back or welcome to DreamWorks Switch to Life. And in today's video, we're going to be reviewing the fourth movie of the Jurassic franchise. That, of course, being the start of the Jurassic World Trilogy. We have been going through all of the Jurassic movies in preparation for Jurassic 7, aka Jurassic World Rebirth. But of course, we have to go back to the start of the second trilogy, Jurassic World. And I'm just gonna say that, like the first movie of the Jurassic Park trilogy, this was probably the best one. In my opinion, this is the second best movie of the Jurassic franchise, which is kind of fitting since the original was the best of the entire franchise. Now, first, let's talk about the casting decision. Bryce Dallas Howard did an amazing job as Claire Dearing, but of course, I personally think that the best casting choice was Chris Pratt as Owen Grady. He did such an amazing job, and I loved all of the jokes that he gave in this movie. I also liked the characters of Zach and Gray, and I'm super sad that they never returned in any of the sequels. I think a big reason I loved them was because of how emotional they were. Not only is it because they're bonding as brothers, and we get to see that on screen, but also because they talk about how their parents are going through a divorce, but no matter what happens, they will always be there for each other. And I like that because at the start of the movie, Zach has been kind of distant from the family because, well, you know how teenagers are. But, by being thrust into danger and forced to work with Gray, the two of them actually get closer than ever, and that's really cool. I also want to talk about the cinematography. Honestly, the camera angles, they could have been slightly better, but they were great with what they were doing. Then, of course, there's the dinosaurs, and oh my gosh, the dinosaurs are amazing. Gone are the days of janky animatronics, and now that technology has evolved so much, we actually have super high quality CGI dinosaurs that just feel and look more realistic than anything that they've ever delivered in the previous movies. And also, hot take, anything in the later movies. Yeah, I don't know. There's just something about the later movies where they're trying to mix it up with both CGI and animatronics that just makes it so the animatronic dinosaurs don't look realistic. There's also the music for this movie, which I really loved. Not only does it bring back the iconic Jurassic Park theme from the original trilogy, but more often than not, it's going for its own thing. There's a bit of suspense and a bit of action in there, and it's just really good music. And the fact that it's often layered with the Jurassic Park theme is really good. Now, of course, I really liked the original Jurassic Park because there was this sense of mystery and horror and suspense. Here, it's more of an action kind of situation, but it's still really good. I loved all of the action sequences, especially when it comes to the Velociraptor squad. You got Blue, Charlie, Delta, and Echo. They were simply amazing, and I loved the fact that we actually got to see some interaction. So, what you may not know about me is How to Train Your Dragon is my favorite franchise of all time. But I need to point out that just like in How to Train Your Dragon, we get to see a bond between human and a giant reptile that can easily kill said human unfold. And that's really cool. And, well, unlike How to Train Your Dragon, there's actually a real suspense of danger. We just watched 3 movies of these guys ready to kill people. And in this movie, they're also ready to kill people. And Owen, he is definitely afraid whenever he is confronting his velociraptors, but they don't need to know that. And that's what sets him apart as the alpha compared to literally all the other humans they attack. And now we have to talk about one of the most conflicting sides of the story, that of course being the hybrid dinosaur, the Indominus Rex. Now, hybrid dinosaurs are when you combine the DNA of 2 species so that you can create something brand new. And Dr. Wu has experimented before, and While the Indominus Rex is the first one that we see, it's not the first successful hybrid. That goes to the Scorpius Rex from Camp Cretaceous. But the Indominus Rex is a dinosaur that's exactly what it's designed to be. Big, giant, colossal, scary, and able to do things that most other dinosaurs can't do. It can camouflage, change its thermal temperature, and so much more. And that's what makes it so awesome. However, unlike other dinosaurs that are created in this franchise, it's an actual monster. Yes, it's just following its genetic programming, but the thing is that unlike the other dinosaurs where they're just animals trying to survive, all the Indominus Rex does is kill, kill, kill.
There was a sibling in case this one didn't survive infancy.
Where's the sibling?
She ate it.
It doesn't even bother eating the stuff it kills. It just kills for sport. And what's really cool is, spoiler alert, it has Velociraptor DNA in its genetic makeup, which makes it extremely smart, and that explains how it's able to escape. Now, personally, I know that on the internet, there's a lot of hate going towards hybrid dinosaurs, and I just don't understand it. The whole point of them is so that they can be these scary monsters that other dinosaurs can't because they have to feel like animals. Diving into Jurassic World Dominion, during the build-up for that movie, they painted the Giganotosaurus as a Joker kind of dinosaur, someone who just wants to watch the world burn. But you go and watch the movie and he's literally just an animal. He doesn't come off as big and threatening. Well, I mean, yes, he does because he's a Giganotosaurus. But what I mean is he behaves a lot more like an animal instead of a monster like the Indominus Rex in this movie. And that's what makes the Indominus so awesome. But now it's time to actually dive into the story. So we open with a shot of the Indominus Rex being born in the year 2012. Fast forward to December 2015, and we come to Jurassic World, a park that has been open to the public since 2005. So after the fall of InGen in Jurassic Park 2, The Lost World, the company was bought by Masrani Corporations, and it's owned by a man named Simon Masrani, a billionaire that I really love because he's not corrupt. Like John Hammond, who he worked with before unfortunately John passed away, Simon wants to inspire people. He wants to give them a place to have fun and also teach them a lesson. You see, he wanted to create a park where humans could come and see the dinosaurs because the dinosaurs are here to show us that humans are not masters of the universe. And that's really cool. In the original movie, it's all about how humans think we have control over everything, and we don't. To Simon, dinosaurs are here to remind us of that, and that's really cool that he took that lesson to heart. And of course, the fact that he was also able to work with John Hammond and actually fulfill John Hammond's dream of having a dinosaur theme park that's been open and thriving to the public for 10 years is super cool. But unfortunately, we get to the bad part. First, we meet Claire Deering, who, because she has to make a lot of tough choices, just views the dinosaurs as numbers on a spreadsheet. She doesn't actually consider them as living creatures, just assets. And she's a lot more focused on the revenue that the park makes from guest attendance, and she wants to actually bring people in. Every time they unveil a new dinosaur, park attendance spikes. And, well, she believes that nowadays no one's excited about dinosaurs because they've all seen the dinosaurs be brought back on a small island. So, thanks to an idea from Dr. Henry Wu, they managed to create the first hybrid dinosaur, which wasn't really successful, but then they create a brand new one called the Indominus Rex. Unfortunately, when Claire Deering shows it off to Simon Masrani, her boss, he decides that they need to bring in an expert who actually knows dinosaurs and their behaviors and whether or not this new monster will be a threat to the public. And, well, they bring Owen Grady in, and when he inspects it, there's claw marks on the wall, and the cameras and thermal signature detectors cannot detect the dinosaur. So the humans, thinking that it's escaped, go into the cage, and then they inspect the claws on the wall, so they think it's climbed out. but in actuality, the tracking implant says it's still inside the cage with them. So they try to get out, but unfortunately leave the door open wide enough for the Indominus Rex to escape. And when it does, it kills everybody who's there, with the exception of Owen Grady, who was smart enough to cover himself in gasoline and hide his scent. Everybody else dies though. But what I really love is that the Indominus was smart enough to be able to hide from the security cameras, hide from the people, using its camouflage and temperature regulation. Then it tricked the humans into opening the door, at which point it escaped. If that isn't a smart dinosaur, I have no idea what is. So they close off the north part of the park, at which point they send Asset Containment Unit, or ACU, to go and capture the Indominus. Unfortunately, the Indominus is just way too powerful, and it kills most of the ACU team. And while all that is happening, we are moving on to Zach and Gray, who are kind of having the time of their lives. The reason they're at Jurassic World was to be with their aunt Claire, but Claire is just super busy with this Indominus stuff. So unfortunately, they're just being left alone with a babysitter named Zara, who they run away from, at which point they go to the Gyrosphere Valley. And I got to admit, I love the gyrospheres. That's a very, very fun concept and a great way to stay safe. Mostly, because unfortunately, Zach and Gray encounter the Indominus Rex. It destroys their gyrosphere, and they barely manage to survive by jumping off a cliff. So now Claire is going to work with Owen to track down her missing nephews, and, well, her nephews are just able to thrive and survive as they go find the Jurassic Park Visitor Center from the original movie, and they get one of the classic Jeeps started up using their auto skills. Then Owen and Claire find the Visitor Center, and they wonder how the heck they got around in a Jeep, but then the Indominus Rex attacks them, at which point they call it in, and they discover that ACU is already on their way, and they're going to use a helicopter flown by Simon Masrani, who's been trying to get his pilot's license, and they're going to kill the Indominus. Now that's a great idea, except the Indominus runs away into the pterosaur exhibit, so all of the pterosaurs manage to escape. In the process of the dimorphodons and pteranodons and so much more escaping, unfortunately, the helicopter crash lands and Simon Masrani dies, and with him, the legacy of Jurassic World. Then all of the pterosaurs go attack the main park, where all of the guests are gathered to avoid the Indominus Rex, and unfortunately, once all the pterosaurs attack happens, they determine that they need to shut down Jurassic World and thus begin a mass evacuation. During all the chaos, Claire finally manages to track down her nephews, at which point Owen is upset because Vic Hoskins, a military man who originally hired Owen to help them train velociraptors, is now using said velociraptors to hunt down the Indominus Rex, and it's kind of a field test so that they can actually use the velociraptors in military scenarios, which is a terrible idea if you ask literally anyone aside from Vic Hoskins. So, unfortunately, this is happening with or without Owen. So, Owen, being the alpha, decides to step up and help control the raptors and make it so that they find their target of the Indominus Rex. But when they do, the Indominus is smart enough to communicate with the velociraptors, and it becomes the new alpha, making the raptors turn on the humans, and thus begins another killing spree. And oh my gosh, this is just another reason why the Indominus Rex is so cool. So while there is loss on both sides, with a bomb blowing up Charlie the Velociraptor, more humans end up dying at the hands of the velociraptors, and at one point, Blue, the lead velociraptor, actually attacks Barry, someone who's been helping to train the raptors, so it's kind of a betrayal of trust. But then they go out and chase after Owen when he taunts them with his motorcycle, and thus begins a high-speed chase. Also, another high-speed chase happens at the same time, with Claire Deering, Zach, and Gray being chased by Echo and Delta. After finding a way to lose the velociraptor, velociraptors, they go to the main visitor center at Jurassic World, and they discover that the lab has been completely evacuated. In fact, Henry Wu is already on a helicopter leaving the island. And then Vic Hoskins, who has not learned his lesson, makes a deal with Henry Wu that they will make a new hybrid, one that's half the size of the Indominus and programmed to obey orders. You know, Vic Hoskins is going through a traditional villain monologue, but then, thankfully, it's interrupted when Blue the Velociraptor attacks and even goes so far as to kill Vic. So there's that. So Claire, Zach, Gray, and Owen are cornered by the remaining 3 velociraptors, at which point Owen uses his experience with the velociraptors to rekindle his bond with them, proving that he is a good alpha to them. Unlike the Indominus, who shows up and just says, kill them or I might kill you or something like that. I don't know. I don't speak dinosaur. And thus begins the final battle, which, if you ask me, is the single greatest dinosaur fight to ever exist. First, we got the raptors attacking the Indominus Rex, and unfortunately, Blue gets injured. Both Delta and Echo are killed. Then Gray says that they need more teeth to stand a chance of killing the Indominus Rex, so Claire Deering runs to the T-Rex paddock and releases the T-Rex, and thus begins a fight between the T-Rex and the Indominus. Also, there's this weird thing on the internet where everybody is mad about the fact that Claire Deering was running away from a T-Rex while wearing high heels. Everyone knows that high heels do not make great running shoes, but then Bryce Dallas Howard has come out online and said that's just something that her character would do, and it makes her that much cooler. Anyway, the T-Rex and Indominus get into a fight, and it looks like the T-Rex is about to lose when Blue gets a second wind and the T-Rex and Blue team up and fight against the Indominus, and it still looks like the Indominus is going to come out on top when the Mosasaurus attacks. Wow, that was a great twist to the final battle that I don't think anyone saw coming the first time they watched it. So the film ends with Blue and Owen saying goodbye, and then there's a scene with Rexy roaring over her new kingdom that she has access to, and everyone who's still alive, guests, Claire, Owen, Zach, and Gray, are all brought over to the mainland. Zach and Gray reunite with their parents, who throughout the movie are going through a bit of a divorce, and we see how this affects the brotherly bond between Zach and Gray, and I really love that. But I think that at the end of this movie, they will probably try to stay together. Just like how Owen says that he and Claire should probably stick together for survival. So believe it or not, Owen and Claire actually dated in the past before this movie. And I guess after this movie, they're getting their second wind and they're going to start dating again. It doesn't really go anywhere because before the next movie, they're already broken up. And that is the end of Jurassic World, the start of the second trilogy of the Jurassic franchise. And honestly, probably my second favorite movie of the entire series. Yeah, try as they might, nothing is ever, and I mean ever, going to come close to beating the original Jurassic Park. But this movie certainly tried, and it definitely deserves a spot among one of the best movies ever. I especially liked the fact that this is a functioning Jurassic Park, because you can actually see what would happen if dinosaurs started trying to kill random guests and civilians. It's mass murder all around. In fact, I would probably argue that this movie has the highest kill count of the entire franchise. And in my opinion, that just makes the movie even better. But what do you guys think of this film? Make sure to leave your thoughts down below in the comment section. And also, are you excited for when Jurassic World Rebirth is coming to theaters on July 2nd? Make sure that you like and subscribe. And also, if you really want to support the channel, be sure to join my membership program. But above all else, make sure that you're staying safe out there. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye-bye.
Can we stay with you? I am never leaving you as long as you live. No, him! Yeah, definitely him.